Greetings, free thinkers. Welcome to the Hoggcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. I certainly am. Okay, what do we have for you on today's episode? We have for you the end of the second sham impeachment of Donald Trump, but that's not the clip I want to show you. I was going to show you Mitch McConnell's speech, but I couldn't go through it a second time. I doubt you could go through it a first time, and if you've already seen what Mitch McConnell had to say about Donald Trump, I doubt you could sit through it a second time either. But I have got this for you. This is an interview done on CBSN, which is as mainstream media comes. This is one of Donald Trump's former lawyers. He took a great interest in the impeachment trial. That's the second one. And both. He took a great interest, naturally, being one of Trump's legal people. He took an interest in both. But wait until you have to hear what he has to say about this sham impeachment, but also a damning indictment by him of the mainstream media and their biased coverage, especially when it comes to this TV news anchor's response to the comments he makes about the doctored evidence. Yes, doctored evidence. The Democrat impeachment managers on the second impeachment trial introduced doctored evidence into a trial against a former president of the United States. Just imagine if Republicans had did that. He can explain it better than I can, so we're going to listen to what he has to say. And it's no conspiracy. Wait until you hear what he has to say, right? You can even look this up yourself. But let's get into this now. But if you haven't yet, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, turn notifications on to all. It will just notify you when it got uploaded, hopefully. And share this video around to social media and maybe friends or family. It's needed now more than ever because the censorship of these type of channels is real, and I'm currently outside of the YouTube partner program, been demonetized, but we'll see what happens with that as we go. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's hear this exchange.
President Trump's attorney, Michael Veen. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Let's get right into those words that we heard from Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. He ended the trial with his passionate speech about President Trump's involvement in the insurrection. During it, he said that the former president is still liable for everything he did during his period in office. Are you expecting to face more charges against Mr. Trump in the near future, and do you anticipate being part of that defense?
No, that's just political rhetoric, and I was hopeful that something would come out of this, that the political rhetoric would stop out of Washington, D.C., but I guess apparently it hasn't.
Were you, though, surprised to hear those words coming from the leader of the Republican Party in the Senate?
I'm not surprised to hear a politician say anything at all. No.
Well, throughout the trial, you denied that Mr. Trump had a role in inciting the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol. You argued, first of all, that there was no insurrection, but during your closing arguments, you seemingly admitted that there was, in fact, an insurrection, using that word, saying that was not up for debate. What role did the former president play?
You didn't understand the case. I used the word
I'll give you the opportunity to clarify, sir.
Sure.
You will give him the opportunity to clarify, will you? See, this is what I mean. The mainstream media today, and he's going to explain this. This clip's about 7 minutes long, so I won't interrupt too often, but I just want to say this. This is exactly what I mean, and you're going to see this throughout this clip. The mainstream media these days, they have the answer before the question. They put the answer before the question, and then they will ask questions of their guest or the person they're interviewing, carefully scripted, carefully put together questions to railroad their guest or the person they're interviewing into giving them the answer they wanted at the start. The answer that their producers told them, right, get this answer out of them, get that answer out of them. This is why they hated Donald Trump so much. He would go off script. He wouldn't give them what they want, and that's why they really hated him.
Use the word insurrection in my closing argument when quoting the charging documents. What happened at the Capitol on January 6th is absolutely horrific. But what happened at the Capitol during this trial was not too far away from that. The prosecutors in this case doctored evidence. They did not investigate this case, and when they had to come to the court of the Senate to put their case on, because they hadn't done any investigation, they doctored evidence. It was absolutely shocking, I think, when we discovered it and we were able to expose it and put it out. I think it turned a lot of senators. The American people should not be putting up with this. They need to look at who these House managers were and look to see whether these are the folks they want representing them. It was shocking to me. Wouldn't have believed it.
Let's follow up with a point that you're making right.
You can see that when the camera panned back to her, she was taking information from the person in her ear, the producers in her ear. You could see it on her face. We'll go back a couple of seconds and you'll see what I mean. Right, it's going to pan back to her in a second and you'll see what I mean. She's taking questions from, obviously, she's taking instructions, from the producers in her ear.
Wouldn't have believed it.
Around the face, you can see it on the face.
Let's follow up with a point that you're making right now about the House managers, as you say, doctoring evidence, and the argument.
They didn't deny it.
Viewers,
they didn't deny it. I put it in front of them 3 times. To be clear for our viewers,
what you're talking about now is a check mark. That's a verification on Twitter that did not exist on that particular tweet. A 2020 that should have actually read 2021, and the selective editing, you say, of the tapes. Is that how? Is that the doctored evidence of what you're speaking?
That's not.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Not enough for you? That's not enough for you?
Wait, no,
sir,
no. I'm trying.
Listen,
I'm not a juror in the.
See, look, she's laughing like it's nothing, right? Would she be laughing over what happened on the 6th of January? Do you see her laughing over anything there? No. Here we are talking about the. I'll keep this short because he's going to really hammer the nail in on her, right? But we are talking about a trial, a sham trial, of a former president, which was already unconstitutional because he was no longer in office. They were trying to remove him from an office he no longer held. But it gets worse. They doctored evidence. So the lemmings and the pros will continue to think what the Democrats want them to think and hate the people they want them to hate. They added a check mark to a tweet to make the person look more official. They changed the date of another tweet to make it tie in with what happened on the events on the 6th. And finally, and most egregiously, they selectively edited footage to try and convict a defendant of something he didn't do. And the defendant being a former president of the United States. And even if he had won the election, they would still have done it to a sitting president. Doctored evidence. And look at this stupid look how happy she is. Look at that stupid look on her face. It's just a joke to her. Doctoring evidence is a joke to her. Look at that animated, ridiculous face.
This trial, what I'm trying to be clear for our viewers is what you're referring to, because not everybody has been following.
It's not okay.
Not everybody,
to doctor
sir,
a little bit of evidence.
Respectfully, I have not said it is okay.
Ma'am, your question is
I want to be clear for our viewers.
Listen, what
I want
has
to be
to
clear for our
happen is
viewers about what exactly you're saying when you say doctored evidence.
The media has to start telling the right story in this country. The media is trying to divide this country. You are bloodthirsty for ratings, and as such, you're asking questions now that are already set up with a fact pattern. I can't believe...
Yes, this is what I'm saying. They start with an answer, and they will ask the most insidious, ridiculous questions that all but the most lemming of lemmings can see it for what it is, right? I mean, and that's everyone except the Twitterati, because you've only got to go on Twitter to see how unhinged these people are, really. But they put the question before the answer before the question, which is the opposite way around than what it should have been.
If you would ask me a question indicating that it's all right just to doctor a little bit of evidence, there's more stuff that we uncovered that they doctored, to be frank with you. And perhaps that will come out one day. But we won this case, and I'm not a sore loser, but what happened, or a sore winner, I should say, but what should happen is somebody should look at the conduct of these House managers. It's unconscionable, aside from all of the due process violations that my client had. And the media should be looking at a square, straight way. A straight way. When I watch the news, I watch one station and it's raining. I watch another station at the same time and it's sunny. Your coverage is so slanted, it's got to stop. You guys have to stop and start reporting more like PBS does rather than
CNN. Say it. CNN, like CNN does.
TV news show that doesn't have any journalistic integrity at all.
A TV news show that doesn't have any journalistic integrity at all. He's describing CNN.
What I'm telling you is that they doctored evidence. And I believe your question says, well, it's only a Twitter check and changing a year of a date here.
Yes, that's exactly what she was doing. She was trying to trivialise it, to pettyize it. Oh, well, it's only this, that and the other, which could have led to a false conviction. Would that have been okay to her in a murder trial? Would that have been fine for her in a murder trial? The fact that they can do this to somebody as powerful as Donald Trump, to fabricate a case against him, to falsify evidence in public without a care of the world who sees it, who notices, and who complains. If they can do it to him, they'll do it to you. And if they do it to you, you might not have the financial and legal power to save yourself from whatever they want to do to you.
They switched the date of Twitter a year to try to connect it to this case. That's not a small thing, ma'am. The other thing they did is they put a check mark on something to make it look like it was a validated account when it wasn't. And when they were caught, they didn't say anything about it. They didn't even try to come up with an excuse about it. And that's not the way our prosecutors or our government officials should be conducting themselves. And the media shouldn't be letting them get away with it either. I'm tired of the biased media on both sides, left and right. What this country...
See, yeah, I suppose I agree with that. Some right-wing news, not that there's many out there, can be biased. However, the biased right-wing news, the small amount that there is out there, will tell you that they are for Donald Trump. The difference is, the big swathes of mainstream media, the 90% of mainstream media that is all left-wing, they're all on the same email chain. That's why you see them using the same phrases, the same buzzwords, because it's all designed to make as many lemmings who are spread out among the 90% of left-wing media who watch the 90% of mainstream media that's left-wing. It's designed to hook-wink as many lemmings into the lie as possible. That's why they're all on the same email chains, and every week you will always see them uttering the same phrases. It'll be the mainstream media and the Democrat Party alike. You'll always see them say a particular phrase. Like, for example, in the, I think it was the midterms election, the phrase, I'm going to fight like hell. I'll fight like hell. And I'm going to fight like hell. You know what? I'm going to fight like hell. It's just the same phrase put on an email chain that they all get, and they say, right, say this, and keep saying it, because they think you're stupid. They think if you hear a phrase enough, you will believe it.
Country wants, what this country needs, is this country to come together, to take the left and the right and find a middle ground.
That's true, we do need to find a middle ground. One thing I would say though is, how much more do conservatives have to give? Whether it's abortion, whether it's gay marriage, whether it's any of these issues, how much more do we have to give, and how much more does the left have to take before we say enough? If we're going to come together, why don't we take and you give a little bit, okay? Because for a long time, it has been us giving and giving and giving and getting insulted for it. And if we don't give enough on a particular day for a particular reason, we're called every ismist under the sun. Look, everyone wants unity. Nobody wants to live in a war zone, right? Nobody wants to live in a fractured society. But it involves both giving, sometimes, okay? Not just one taking and one side giving all the time.
And start responsibly being our public officials, our elected officials. And one of the reasons why they do it is because of the media. Because the media wants to tell their narrative rather than just telling it like it is. And frankly, I'm tired of it. I'm not a media. I'm not in front of your cameras all the time. But what I've been subjected to this last week.
I understand, and I've given you the opportunity.
You don't want to hear the truth. Yeah. Okay.
I've given you the opportunity. I will remind you that what I said was that for our viewers who have not been following all...
And he just said, we heard what you said. Yeah, she's trying to get out of it now. She was trying to trivialize it. You could tell, you could hear by her phrasing of it, the way that she the inflection on her voice when she was talking about the Twitter verification badge that was put deliberately onto an account that had none. She's doing it deliberately to try and make the lemmings think, oh, well, it's just a Twitter badge. It's only Twitter verification. What does that matter? Well, it's what's behind it that matters. It's a substance that matters.
All of the hours of this trial to be clear about what you are speaking about. And I understand
I'm speaking
that you
about
seem
the House
very
manager's
upset.
failure to prove their case. That's what I'm telling you. They weren't able to prove their case.
Acquittal. You have won the acquittal of your client.
Yes,
and if you'd
I
like
did.
to continue to talk about this conversation, we can have that discussion.
I don't need to.
But for me to ask a question,
A slanted question that was set up to say,
I think your viewers, if there's any that aren't lemmings, can understand it themselves. They don't need you to railroad the information he just gave. They don't need you to repackage what he said 10 seconds before you. They don't need you to repackage it with an inflection on your voice and a silly grin on your face to your viewers so that they will think something subtly different, okay? You just heard him say it. He said it 10 seconds before you. Doesn't need you to say to your viewers, well, what he actually meant was this, that, and the other.
it's okay for them to cheat. That was your question. Isn't it okay for them to cheat?
I did.
Yeah, but you did say that. You said it, that sometimes you can say things without saying it, right? And you've got this stupid grin on your face the whole time, like it's a joke to you. That's the problem with the left. There are things that are very serious that they just take for a complete joke. Just a complete joke. And it just doesn't hit home. This woman and this network haven't asked the Democrats a single question about their framing and manufacturing and editing of evidence into a trial. Not a single one. Instead, they bring Trump's lawyer on because they want to railroad him. It has 20 seconds left to go, and it's just the same old stuff. Her with a silly face, him trying to make his point. Look, I'm going through the 20 seconds, and she's still got that smug, I'm better than you, I know more than you look on the face. Just look, it's I'm superior than you. These journalists, man. It takes a special type of person to be that ignorant. It really does. You know, there should be some sort of ignorancy award. You know, like you got the Darwin Awards. There should be an ignorancy award. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. About his complete evisceration of her ideas and her attempt to railroad him and mislead the lemmings that actually watch her and think that they're being informed about something. and her attempts to repackage what he was saying into a different format for which is compatible with the lemming's brain. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this video around. That'll help me stay competitive with the likes of CNN, MSNBC and CBSN. And the smug faces that inhabit it. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.